Hello, hello, and welcome, one and all. It is so good to have you with us today on this lovely afternoon or evening or whenever you're watching us, whatever time zone it is on your end, or if you're watching us on VOD later, however you choose to experience us. And yes, I know I promised we were going to be playing Eagle Eye Mysteries today, and we are. We totally are. I just switched to this scene because it's got that now playing information underneath the portrait that has the music down there. See, if we switch to the where the gameplay is, you don't have that game. You don't have the now playing widget anymore. So I figured I'd just leave it here so you could see what music's playing, just to give credit where it's due, while I give the intro speech and all that, and then we'll switch over. So hello, good to have you with us. As always, I am Celine. I am that giant talking rodent you see in the portrait there. With me from left to right, if you look at the Welcome to the Woodstream sprites, you have me and then Sarah, Arday, Kurt, and Fang. We are the Woodling system. We do a variety of stuff. We do art streams. Sometimes we may, in fact, do an art stream later after this if we're feeling up to it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. We'll see how long this takes. We play video games. Today, we're going to be going into the old DOS edutainment mines. We're going to be doing an old childhood favorite of ours. That is Eagle Eye Mysteries. So the story behind this, I forget when the exact time is, but it's somewhere, we're coming around somewhere around 1 year or so anniversary of us having affiliate status. I want to say the day, if you go to our settings and look when we got the welcome to partner, or not a partner, welcome to affiliate achievement for doing our first affiliate stream and looking at our dashboard, etc., etc. That was yesterday, maybe. But I swear one of our users, Zach the Arion, had his 1 year sub anniversary before that. So I don't know when it was, but it's been somewhere around probably a year and a week or so since we've been affiliates, since you've had the ability to give us money. So I wanted to celebrate. I wanted to do something special to celebrate that. Our dear, lovely, beloved squirrel mod, Zizzy Squirrel, recently had her 1 year stream anniversary and played Hypnosis, which was an experience. I recommend watching that if you haven't seen. It was. So we were just thinking, what could we do to play something special like that? What's our version of Hypnosis? And Sarah suggested Eagle Eye Mysteries, which is an old game we've been wanting to cover for a while now. It's something that a friend of mine had back growing up, and back in the days before Twitch, back before you'd go on a website to watch people play video games, I would arrange play dates just to go over to my friend's house and watch him play games like this. And that was my idea of a good time. I didn't have to do anything. I just sat there. He just played on the computer and I just watched him. I would, if this had been happening today, he would have had a Twitch channel and we would have been watching him. But back then, you just had to watch people on Twitch in person, I guess. So that was something, that was one of his games, and it's something I've been eager to get back into and explore again, because it's not something we've personally actually played with ourselves controlling it very much. Silver says, yeah, I swear I spent more time watching friends play games from their couch than actually playing them as a kid, and I was an adult. Yeah, isn't that funny how that works out? You grow up being that kid who just watches your friend play games, and then now here we are on Twitch, and now you're watching us play Eagle Eye Mysteries, just the same way we used to watch that other kid play Eagle Eye Mysteries. It's the circle of life, and it moves us all. Anyway, hello to everyone who is here with us today. We have Silverstar82, Zizzy Squirrel, Saria Song, Andius Wandarier, anyone else? Teleporting Helicopter, good to see you. And of course, anyone who may be here but just lurking, or anyone who files in later, or anyone who watches this on VOD, or, for whatever reason, even if you're not speaking up in chat right now, you are, of course, always welcome. We're just delighted to have you, however you choose to experience us. We just are grateful to be experienced. He says it means I can beg people desperately to play a game and maybe they'll settle for watching it someday. Yeah. You know what? It's funny because Zizzy is going through Dreamfall right now, for example. And we played The Longest Journey a long time ago and freaking loved that game. We're huge Longest Journey fans. We never actually played Dreamfall, and gameplay-wise, I kind of bounced off it just because, it introduces a lot of things that I'm not super fond of in adventure games, like, combat. But now we can just watch Zizzy play it, and we don't have to play it, but we can experience the plot and everything. And it's a wonderful plot. I'm really getting into Dreamfall. Like, Zizzy's Dreamfall streams are amazing, and I'm so glad we get to experience this now in a way that we might not have been able to if it were just up to whenever we were going to get around to playing it. So, that's the magic of Twitch. So, let's go ahead and stop this music and let's switch over to this stream, this scene, this whatever it is, and get Eagle Eye Mysteries going. So, fair warning on this, it is a little hard to get the audio balance just right. I think I worked to get the audio balance before the stream, so to get it as close as I can. It might be a little loud, and if it's a little loud, I'll adjust it. I got it as close as I could, but sound issues are synonymous with being a streamer. You know how it goes. So let's go ahead and get this going. And there we go. EA Kids, a division of Electronic Arts. And High Score Productions, and there's an old splash screen for you.
Hi, I'm Jake Eagle, and this is my twin sister Jennifer. Together we're the Eagle Eye Detective Agency.
With your help, we'll be solving all kinds of mysteries in our hometown Richview.
But before we get started, let's show you around a little. Richview's a small town, but there sure is a lot going on.
Let's roll, Jake.
And yes, I know the voices are very quiet compared to the music. That's something we actually don't have any control over. Those are not individual settings. Like, you can't make the music quieter and the voices louder. This is just, it is the way it is.
We caught a pickpocket here at the last spring fair.
Tons of stuff goes on here, from dog shows to skateboard. It's a great place to interview witnesses.
I don't know why these obvious cartoon characters live in a photorealistic satellite view neighborhood.
We sure could have used your help on that one. Separating the important clues from the red herrings takes a lot of brain power.
Maybe that's one of the Eagle Eye mysteries.
And next to it is the pawn shop, where we found Mandy Lipper's stolen earrings.
Sometimes clues turn up in the weirdest places.
This music is really going hard for the fact that we're just getting a tour of their town, by the way.
It looks a lot nicer now since we helped stop Hanson's Milk from dumping their toxic waste there.
Once Professor Crank helped us to prove where the gunk was coming from, they had to clean up their act.
Science facts can help us solve cases too.
And then all of a sudden it just goes back to the calm music like nothing happened. I don't know why that last part of the video tour was so intense, but now here we are in the calm part of the tour again.
Shore was impressed when we caught the burglar that robbed her house. We followed his trail to the church where he hid the loot.
Penguin, hello! Good to have you.
Library. It was nice to help her out for a change.
here's our treehouse. The Eagles.
The music gets intense again for the treehouse.
Packed full of high-tech computer stuff. Even our own telephone and police radio.
And you'll be our newest investigator.
Ready to put your sleuthing skills to the test? Let's go.
Let's go! So yeah, as they established there, we are not playing as Jake and Jennifer Eagle. We are their newest sidekick. We are the third wheel in the Eagle Eye Mysteries team. We just joined Jake and Jennifer, and we're the new kid, I guess. And we're about to go solve mysteries with them. So I made a file before, just when I was testing, just to make sure this worked and everything, just when we were, doing the sound test and game test and making sure this was all, we were ready to go live and everything. Yeah, just kids owning a police radio. These things happen. I haven't actually done anything in this file yet. Like, I literally just made it and started the first practice case and then quit without saving. So I think we can just click this and start, and we're not going to actually miss anything. So yeah, we're not choosing our playable character because, again, we are not playing as Jennifer and Jake. We are, insert name here, we are Celine, the new kid in the Eagle Eye Mysteries. We are choosing our partner. Who do we want to work with? So it's going to be Celine, and let's play with Jennifer, and then Jake can just hang out in the treehouse and just sit there and be useless.
Cool.
So we have Scrapbook 1, 2, and 3, which are grayed out. We have a practice mystery, which is the only mystery we can choose. I assume this is going to be... Thank you, Penguin. I assume this is just going to be our tutorial. Can we just take a moment to appreciate this treehouse, by the way?
Hello, I'm Jake Eagle. Welcome to the Eagle Eye Detective Agency. We're glad to have you here. Just click the mouse button when you finish reading what I'm saying.
Like, their treehouse is bigger and has more stuff with it than our actual bedroom. Just, typical 90s treehouse with a computer that has typical 90s dial-up internet, has a foosball table, has a couch, a ladder with like a bunk bed, like an entire bookshelf there. Got a TV on the bed. Just, typical things you find in a treehouse. I see this terrarium here, terrarium, how you pronounce that, is because they also, in fact, have a pet lizard, which is not apparent yet. That comes up in a later case, but it's one of the things I remember from this game is we are the fourth member of the Eagle Eye Mysteries team. You've got Jake and Jennifer, you have their lizard over here, and then you have us. We just joined.
Be sure to read the instructions we'll give you in a few moments. We'll tell you how to use the computer to get around in Richview.
Glad to meet you. I'm Jennifer Eagle. Richview is only a small town, but there are plenty of mysteries to solve. We can sure use your help.
Richview is only a small town, which means this treehouse is like half the town by volume. Look at this. You've got a ladder here. I think this is about as tall as like a one-story house right here that goes up to, what even is this? Like a window with another room? Is there like another house inside the treehouse? What is in here? What's on the other side of this window? What's in this? What is this? What is this?
That's right. Sometimes you'll see clues that we might miss if we didn't have you around. With your help, we can make Eagle Eye the best detective agency in the whole state.
This is our headquarters, where we start all our investigations. We call this treehouse the Eagle's Nest.
You two had better get going. Nancy Marks, who helps us here at Eagle Eye, just called in with a problem. It will make a perfect first case for you.
Great idea, Jake. Come on, let's go meet Nancy. She's over at the Quarter Time Arcade right now.
The Quarter Time Arcade. Of course, this has got to be like a 90s DOS edutainment game because, the arcade scene is still thriving.
When you see the map on your screen, look for the flashing red diamond. That marks the spot in each mystery that we'll want to visit first. When you click your mouse on the town map, you'll see a close-up of that part of town. The sites that we can visit in each mystery are marked with name boxes.
The site that we want to go to first will always be marked with a red box. Right now, that'll be Quarter Time, up by the mall.
All right, so yeah, here are the places we can go, but they want us to go to the red one first. And it's the Quarter Time Video Arcade. Oh yeah, got to get your rollerblading reference in. This game just wasn't dated enough.
There's Nancy over there. Let's see what's up. Use the mouse to point at the glowing box around Nancy, then click the button.
Hi, Jennifer. I think someone's playing a trick on us. Check out this note I found in my locker.
There's some voice acting for you.
It says, bet you can't guess who I am. I left clues at Quarter Time, Kennedy School, and Richview Community Bank. I dare you to figure it out. The note is signed The Mystery Guy.
So our tutorial mystery is who left a note in Nancy's locker that's just like that you can't guess who left this note in your locker. That's it. That's the mystery. Well, it is 90s edutainment. These are kids we're talking about. I guess you don't put them on the murder cases like just yet.
That is mysterious. Have you looked here for a clue?
Yes, there was a piece of paper with the word clue written on it in felt pen on the side of the Marked Man video game.
They wrote the word clue on the clues. Are we after the Riddler? Is that what this is? Like, they really want to play this game with us.
That sounds like a clue, all right. Let's ask these guys about it. Use the mouse to click on the glowing box around the guy you want to talk to. Then click the button.
You want to ask me for help? Hey, you Eagle Eye guys are supposed to be so good at solving mysteries. Go find clues for yourselves.
I feel like Good Faces bot would have a field day with this game.
Don't pay any attention to the way Mark talks. Deep down, I think he'd like to be part of the Eagle Eye Detective Agency, like you and me. But we won't let him in because he makes so much trouble around town.
Well, his name is Mark Moriarty, which is kind of a deep cut reference for like a kid's edutainment game, but hey, maybe that's one of the things we're being edutained about. Nancy Marks, Mark Moriarty, Hercule Drew? Yeah, I don't know.
Excuse me, I'd love to talk, but I'm about to enter level 9 on this Goblin Droids machine. I don't know anything about any mysteries or clues or anything.
Now we have some clues and two suspects, Mark and Alex. I've entered the information in my portable computer notebook, so we can check it out at any time.
Ah, yes, her portable computer. Look at this thing. This is some 90s tablet tech, all right. This is like one of those old like TI calculators. Like she's got a freaking Voyage 200 there. That's what that is. Oh man, I miss my Voyage 2. Wait, what am I saying? I still have my Voyage 200.
When you're ready to leave, point the mouse at my feet and click the button. That will take you back to the map. But before you do that, let's look at the computer notebook. When you want to look at the computer notebook, click on the notebook in my hands. You'll see all the clues you've collected so far. Clicking on it a second time takes you back to the place you were investigating.
So the thing about this game, they put boxes around all the people and items of interest. So this isn't like a pixel hunt game where you can click on the zap game over here and notice, hey, there's a clue taped to the side of the machine that you just have to click on or anything. Like, they are very upfront. Like, these are the only things on this screen you can interact with, which, for a kid's game, that's pretty cool. Saves you the frustration of missing the thing you were supposed to have seen. So let's look at our computer notebook here. We received a note that says, bet you can't guess who I am. I left clues at Quarter Time, Kennedy School, and Richview Community Bank. I dare you to figure it out. The note is signed the mystery guy. A piece of paper with the word clue written on it was found on the side of the Marked Man video game at Quarter Time. Mark Moriarty was at Quarter Time when we found the clue there. Alex Hain was at Quarter Time when we found the clue there. When you want to look at the computer notebook, click on the notebook in your partner's hands. Clicking on it a second time takes you back to the place you're investigating. You want to leave and go someplace else, click on your partner's feet. That'll take you back to the map. End of notes. All right. So where else can we go? I guess the other two locations they said that the clues were Richview Community Bank. Is she just going to rollerblade into every scene we go to? And wink, too. Of course she's got to wink, too.
The note said there was a clue here at the bank. Remember, click on my computer to see the notebook and click on my feet if you want to go somewhere.
All right, well, there's exactly one thing here we can interact with, which is,
Hello, kids. Take a look at this. Someone stuck this piece of paper on the wall of the bank. All that's written on the paper is the word clue.
That's weird, all right. Where was it on the wall?
Right over there, where we list the values of foreign money. People trade American dollars for money from other countries before they go on trips to those countries.
The note was right next to the price we charge for German money. The German unit of money is called the mark.
Okay.
Be sure to investigate all the sites described in the note before you try to solve the puzzle. If you think you're ready to solve the mystery, click on my computer to look at the notebook. Then click on the Solve button.
So the first clue was found on the Marked Man video game, and the second clue was found next to the price exchange for marks. I'm sensing a theme here, you guys. But I mean, this is the tutorial case. And it's also a kid's game, so, what can you expect? Again, they don't put you on the murder cases, like, right away, I assume. All right, we've got one more place to check out.
Here we are at Kennedy School. I wonder what clue we'll find here. Remember, click on my computer to see the notebook, and click on my feet if you want to go somewhere.
And again, we have exactly one thing to interact with. That was a jingle, all right. That really was.
Look, on the blackboard, there's a big chalk mark, and someone has drawn an arrow to it and written the word clue. Be sure to investigate all the sites described in the note before you try to solve the puzzle. If you think you're ready to solve the mystery, click on my computer to look at the notebook. Then click on the Solve button. Look, on the blackboard. There's a big chalk mark.
A
and
chalk
someone
mark.
has
A
drawn an
chalk
arrow to it and
mark.
written the
Oh,
word
I
clue.
get it. Aren't you cute? Okay.
Be sure to investigate all the sites to...
So that's all the sites. So you go through. Okay. Find the mystery guy. Marked Man. Mark Moriarty was there. Alex Hayne was also there. A big chalk mark. Someone stuck a piece of paper. Piece of paper was next to the price for German money, which is called the mark. So I think we have enough to solve this one.
We're ready to name the mystery guy. Use the mouse to click on the 5 clues that tell us who that person was. Clicking on the up and down arrows will show more clues on the screen.
So yeah, the idea behind this is you go around collecting clues. They all get accumulated here. Once you've investigated everything, you click solve. So once you think you know who did it, you have to go through the list and click the 5 clues that you think, support your case and are how you came to that conclusion. You're showing your work, basically. And then you click the culprit. So 5 clues. Piece of paper was found at the Marked Man. That's important. Mark Moriarty was there. That's important. Alex Hayne was there. That's not important. Yeah, it's not important. That's not important. There's a big chalk mark, which is also a word clue. People trade American dollars for money. Yeah, that's not irrelevant, but this one is. Someone stuck a piece of paper with the, which is called the mark. And I guess we need one more clue. I guess, is it this one? It just says the mystery guy one. I wouldn't have picked that one.
Those clues add up, all right.
All right,
Now
okay.
spotlight the person who you think challenged us to solve this mystery.
Well, we only know one mark. Actually, we only have 2 suspects. It is the tutorial case, you guys. So clearly it was Alex Hayne. No,
That's it. Mark Moriarty is the mystery guy. He left the strange challenge in Nancy's locker at school, and you can show how and why. Someone left a note in Nancy's locker at school challenging the Eagle Eye detectives to figure out who wrote it. The note was signed the mystery guy. We saw Mark and Alex at quarter time. The word clue was stuck to the side of the Marked Man video game. At Kennedy School, we found a big mark on the blackboard with the word clue next to it. At the bank, the word clue was left next to the sign listing the value of the German mark. Marked Man, the mark on the blackboard, the German mark. What do they all have in common? They all were marks, because they were all left by Mark Moriarty. Before you start your first case, I should tell you about our scrapbook.
that was our first case. We just solved our first case. You're a little late, Jennifer.
Whenever you solve a mystery here in Richview, we paste something about it in our book. Newspaper articles, letters, whatever. It's fun to read all about your cases. Let's look at the article on this one.
Oh no, not case -1. I like that this made the newspaper, by the way. Celine's detective work proved that Mark Moriarty, the old nemesis of the Eagle Eye Detective Agency, planted a puzzling note in Nancy Marks's locker. Mark wanted to see just how clever our detectives are, and I guess he found out, said Jennifer Eagle. Celine is going to make a fine addition to our agency. It's a slow news day in Richview, I guess. Should we have other mysteries besides the practice mystery? We beat the practice mystery.
You are entering the world of chaos. The
No, I don't want to exit the game. Did it not save the fact that, because scrapbook 1's still grayed out and we only have practice missed. Okay, hold on. That's a little weird. Shouldn't there be more mysteries? That's a little peculiar. Is it really just going to make us do this one again? I guess we can kind of speed run it and see if it saves. Program setup. Yeah, like I said, your sound options are yes or no. So you don't really have a lot of audio balance. Nothing in the scrapbooks. You can save this case. Does it do anything? You start a new case? Oh, here we go. All right. Here are our cases. So here are the real cases. I was a little worried there. Not gonna lie, I was a little worried there. Yeah, so the actual game has a bit to work through. So here's one of the ulterior motives that we really want to go through this game. I remember, like I said, I used to watch my friend play this game back when we were both kids. So I remember there's a case later on. I don't remember which case it is because none of these names, it might be the dangling diamond, maybe. I don't know. We can try that one. But I remember there was a certain case and I don't know anything about it. I don't remember. My memory's gone except for two things. One is that it involved a diamond theft of some sort, which is why I'm thinking it might be dangling diamond. And the other is that we were hopelessly stuck on that one. I don't remember the suspects. I don't remember the clues. I don't remember anything about it. And if you know, please don't spoil. But I just know that as kids, we were never able to get to the point where we could name a suspect. We gathered all the clues and got to the point where we were choosing the 5 clues that we thought were important. And no matter what we picked, the game said, I don't know about those clues. I don't know if they're going to be enough to convince a judge and jury. So it sounded like we were wrong. But we never figured out what the right clues were. So we never even got to say, okay, now that the clues add up, who do you think did it? I'm always been curious about that case. I want to see if it's really that hard if we go back and try it as adults, or if we were just kids and just on the wrong trail. Like, can we solve whatever case this was, like in the current day? But I don't know. We've got a lot to get through before we get. Even if it's dangling diamond, we've got a few to get through. I mean, you can do these in any order. I guess we can just start with dangling diamond if we wanted to, but I do want to do a couple more warm-up cases first. Let's do these in order, at least up to runaway reptile, because I like that one. Rock rip-off's good. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just go through these and see what we've got. Now that we've got real cases, let's see how it turns out. But yeah, now that we've graduated and we are full-fledged members of the Eagle Eye Detective Agency, let's see if we can crack the case of the stolen skateboard.
Eagle Eye Detective Agency. Jennifer here.
Of course, they have a landline in their treehouse. How do they have a landline in their treehouse? Wait. How do you have a landline in your tree? Do they have, I guess the same way they have internet access in their treehouse, do they just run wires up the trunk?
Jennifer,
Somebody stole my champion skateboard from Shred's bike and skate shop, and the tournament's tomorrow.
Hang loose, Willie. We'll be right there.
So yeah, Jennifer and us woodlings are about to go solve all these cases while Mark just sits there. But, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. So now we have an actual crime and not just someone putting a note in their locker just because they're the frickin' Riddler and they just thought it'd be fun to tease our brains. But we've got a stolen skateboard. Let's go to Shred's shop and see what's up. These jingles really are something, aren't they?
Steve Shred runs the bike and skate shop. They sell everything from inline skates to windsurfing boards. Steve's really cool. Before he opened the store, he was a champion skateboarder.
Willie Barr's got to be the best skateboarder in town. You've seen him. He can carve up the ramps like a pro. I was tuning his board this morning for the competition. I even fitted slick new orange wheels on for him. The board was in the back room when I took off for lunch. When I came back, it was gone. History, dude.
Dude.
I'm wiped out now, for sure. No board, no moves. Dave Grant will win the trophy now, no doubt.
Well, we have a suspect with a motive.
Dave's a wild skater, but he's never beaten me on the ramps. I've got way too much style on my board.
Okay, getting an early lead here. Yes, he stole Willie Barr's moves. Now Willie Barr is unable to stand on his head, which means he can only attack once. It's a terrible curse, really.
My board was awesome, too. I even turned down Mike Walker when he offered me $150 for it.
Oh, maybe another suspect there. Shreds, we're not gonna narrate this one, huh? Thank you for the beaking. Shred's workbench is covered with tools and spare parts, but the rest of the room is neat and clean. Steve's windsurfer is leaning against the wall. There are 3 recycling bins under the table, labeled glass, aluminum, and plastic. The bins are partially full of recyclable cans and bottles. On the floor next to the bins is a crumpled up napkin. The words "Sweet Treats" are printed on it and it has a light green stain. Okay. A poster for the Richview windsurfing exhibition is hanging in the back room. The back door to the store is open. An empty orange soda can is lying near the door. The top of the can says "Aluminum, please recycle." Okay, so this is they're chronicling all this stuff, right? Because we don't remember this. Shred says he puts new orange in. Steve Shred, yeah, Dave Grant. Yeah, okay. All right. So where else can we look around? I don't know why we're going to the video arcade, but it's a location of interest, I guess. All of those intros.
Everyone hangs out at quarter time. Maybe we'll find something out here.
All of those intros are just, I should use them for like redemptions or sound alerts or something, because they have so much life to them. A gym bag with the name Dave written across it is leaning against one of the video game machines. Now, I don't know if that proves anything, because I don't know why I don't know why quarter time has anything to do with any of this, but okay. Apparently, if quarter time's a suspicious location, someone named Dave was here, I guess. Dave's gym bag is full of something long and heavy. Dave's gym bag is full. Something long and heavy has been stuffed into it. And of course, we're not allowed to just peek and solve the case right now because, that'd be snooping. And us, Encyclopedia Brown kids never snoop.
Willie's just afraid to skate against me. He knows I'd crush him in the tournament. I'm not even wasting time practicing today.
Yeah, I think this case is shaping up, you guys. I mean, it is the first case, I guess, and it's also a kids' edutainment game.
I've been here working on my Speedster 500 game since I left Sweet Treats this morning. That high score is going to be mine.
He was also in Sweet Treats, which there was a Sweet Treats napkin at Steve Shred. Yeah, so this isn't exactly a Nancy Drew game, which we'll have to get Zizy to stream Nancy Drew games at some point if you want a real mystery. But these are fun. These are fun little 90s edutainment fluff piece mysteries, I guess. Little mystery lits, little popcorn mysteries, if you will. Nancy Drew would have that thing open in a heartbeat. She wouldn't even care that Dave Grant's right there. She would just unzip that thing, pull out what's obviously the skateboard and say, aha. And Dave would be like, excuse me, what are you doing? And Nancy would say, excuse you, I'm a detective. And that'd be the game. Because Nancy has absolutely no respect for people's boundaries. But this being a 90s edutainment game and all, Jake and Jennifer Eagle are, in fact, hamstrung by, having respect for people's boundaries. So we got to do this the long way.
Sweet Treats sells ice cream, candy, and sodas. Willie's aunt, Mandy Lipper, works here. I bet she can tell us who's been in today.
I mean, we already know Dave's been in here because he said he was in here. Like, he confessed to being in here, but whatever, I guess.
Everyone's getting ready for the big skateboarding competition. Shred's bike and skate shop has been packed all day. Even while Shred's was closed for lunch, I saw a boy with a gym bag trying to get in the back way.
Uh-huh. The freezer behind the counter is full of ice cream tubs. The raspberry ice cream is pink. The pistachio ice cream is green.
Poor Willie. He'll be so upset if he doesn't get to compete tomorrow. All the skateboarders in town are entering that tournament. I'm sure he would have beaten them all. Some of them were in here today. Dave Grant and Mike Walker were both here before lunch, and Steve Shred dropped in for a cone on his way back to work. Mike ordered raspberry ice cream, and Dave got a pistachio cone and a can of orange soda. Their mothers probably hate me for serving treats right before a meal.
Uh-huh. So pistachio ice cream is green. Dave got green ice cream and an orange soda, which were both found at Shred's. Yeah. This is no points for guessing, but the culprit at this point. But I guess we've got there's like an entire extra location left before we solve this. So I guess sure. Because we got to get our 5 clues, right?
The ramps for tomorrow's skateboard tournament are being set up right over there.
I've been setting up the ramps for the tournament all day today. Mike came by around noon and has been practicing ever since.
Okay, so Mike has an alibi.
I'm glad to see he's got his helmet and pads to protect himself. The champions I saw at the state finals last year all had them.
Mike Walker's skateboard is lying on the grass. It's black and yellow with white wheels. The skateboard looks new with only a few scuffs and marks on its surface. Mike's name is painted on the bottom. Oh my gosh, Handius, that sounds incredible. You just see the pile right over there. Yeah, it's... Look, they're easing us into this, I guess. Although that makes me curious. Again, I have vivid memories of being hopelessly stuck on whatever diamond-related case that was. And you've seen how not exactly challenging this game is. I really want to get far enough to see that diamond case again and see, like, is there a difficulty spike or were we just really clueless back then? Because if the diamond case is about as difficult as this one is, I'm gonna like really be side-eyeing younger me and be like, you didn't get this one, really. But maybe it gets harder. I don't know. Like, that's the real Eagle Eye mystery that I'm really interested here. How could a game that looks like this so far, like, give us such vivid memories of just being absolutely stuck later on? Just hopelessly, cluelessly stuck. This game did it somehow. This game, you wouldn't believe it from what you're seeing right here, where it's like handing you the culprit on a silver platter. But this game had us stuck. And I want to see what case did it. And I want to see if it really is that hard.
I wanted to buy Willie's board. It was so cool. He wouldn't sell it, so I bought a new one at Shred's last week.
So Mike was maybe an early suspect just because he clearly wanted Willie's board, but like he's got a new board. It's right there. It looks completely different. It's got his name on it and everything. Izzy says skateboards were invented by surfers who wanted to surf in the off season. Steve Shred would know that, being into extreme sports. The extra D in his name indicates Scandinavian ancestry. In Sweden, Dave Grohl once broke his legs. Skateboarding is bad for your legs. In the prologue, we saw Dave Grant as a friend of Mark Moriarty. I suspect Dave. You know, that's a really good theory, but I'm going to do you one better. On the internet, they call hanging out on the internet all day and just going to web pages and stuff surfing the web. So who's known for surfing the web a lot? Maybe like a famous blogger, like, I don't know, Corey, God, what's his name? Dr. O. Or like the beard guy who does a lot of Linux stuff. I don't know my computer people. Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds, which is another Scandinavian-sounding name, which ties in with your clues. It all fits together, you guys. We solved the case. And, okay, it's all coming together. So, the extra D in Steve Shred's name indicates Scandinavian ancestry. So does Linus Torvalds, the inventor of Linux. We are streaming on the Linux end of our dual boot system right now. Normally we stream on Windows because that's where most of the stuff is hooked up. We do the Linux side for exactly two things, the Libre Sprite art streams and like old DOS games like this one or Hansel and Gretel. So we're on Linux right now, which was invented by Linus Torvalds, which is another Scandinavian name. We solved the case, you guys. It was Linus Torvalds. Case closed. Ingrid says, look, as far as I'm aware, half of all the Linux programmers are furries and the other half are trans girls. We are, in fact, furries and fans of Xenia, the Linux fox. You see who is trans. You see, it all comes together. So we just need to click on her book to get the 5 clues and just sort those out, and we got this.
I've been practicing on it all afternoon here at the park. I'm going to be in excellent form for the tournament.
Anyway, Mike has an alibi, so it was clearly Dave, what's his name? So is that all our locations? Okay, let's put this together. The perp was actually Bingle this whole time. Oh my fucking bingle. What? Colon 3? All right, let's solve this
We've
one.
collected some pretty strong evidence in this case. Pick the 5 clues that lead you to the best suspect.
All right, Shred says he put new orange wheels on. The makeup of Willie's skateboard doesn't seem important right now. We can maybe come back to that. Shred, it was in the back room, but it was gone when he came back from lunch. Dave Grant will win the skateboard competition if Willie can't compete, which he can't compete without his board. That's important. That establishes a motive. Willie says Mike Walker once offered him $150. That's the wrong suspect.
Those are good clues, but they're not strong enough to accuse someone. Let's take another look at what we've learned.
I was trying to click down. I missed. Meant to click. Right.
We've collected some pretty strong evidence in this case. Pick the 5 clues that lead you to the best suspect.
Right, so Dave Grant will win the skateboard competition. A napkin from Sweet Street, Swiss, blah, blah, blah. A napkin from Swiss Street, stained with something green, was on the floor of Shred's workshop. So was an empty orange soda can. Dave Grant had pistachio ice cream and a can of orange soda. And now all we need is the clue that pistachio ice cream is green. And I think that ties the whole thing together. Although, God, Mr. Peel saw a boy with a gym bag trying to get in the back door of Shred's. Dave's gym bag has something long stuffed into it. Those seem really important too. Really? Like one more clue? We have to pick one more clue? We have like 10 more clues.
Those are the clues we need to prove our case. Now
I can't believe those weren't
you
considered
think responsible
important.
For Willie's stolen skateboard.
I really feel like we could have proven everything with just those other clues. I feel like we had to choose the 5 clues that prove the case, and they gave us like 10 clues that prove the case there. It's a really obvious case, is what I'm trying to say here.
You're right. Dave Grant stole the skateboard. Let's check the evidence. Steve Shred told us that when he returned from lunch today, Willie's board was gone.
We didn't even pick that one, by the way. I think that was another bonus clue.
Steve keeps his shop super clean and recycles all his trash, but we found this sweet treats napkin on the workshop floor. This empty aluminum orange soda can was lying near the back door to Shred's store. Aluminum can be recycled, but this can hadn't been put in the recycling bins. Mandy Lipper told us that Dave had ordered a pistachio ice cream and orange soda before lunch. Pistachio ice cream is green, just like the stain on the napkin we found at Shred's.
Zazie says, we're going to keep these extra clues for a future case. Dave's overstuffed tote bag will be the solution to the diamond mystery. Yes, it's a red herring that it leads you to believe that his overstuffed tote bag obviously has the stolen skateboard in it. It's actually full of stolen diamonds. It's foreshadowing. Good work, Zazie. You solved the case that that we just weren't able to grasp when we were younger.
Mr. Peel saw a boy with a gym bag trying to get into Shred's while it was closed for lunch.
Why does Mr. Peel's facial expression look like he's the obviously guilty one who's like, it wasn't me, you can't prove it? I mean, it wasn't him, but like, why does he look like that? Why are there so many good faces in this game?
Dave has a gym bag with something long and heavy stuffed inside.
Yeah, see, these are the ones we didn't even pick, but they're very obviously important as well. So, like, we have literally more than enough to incriminate him here. They're just kind of dumping it all at this point.
You figured it out. Dave Grant stole Willie's skateboard.
That's just Dave transporting his bad dragon collect. Oh, no. Willie Barr wins Richview skateboard tournament. Celine got my skateboard back for me, says Willie Barr, proudly displaying his trophy. It was stolen right before the tournament, and I couldn't have competed without it. The evidence Celine uncovered led the investigators to the thief, Dave Grant, Willie's rival, who hoped to remove Willie from the skateboard tournament and, continued, thereby win the trophy for himself. When confronted with the proof, Dave gave a full confession and agreed to perform several hours of community service to atone for his misdeed. His littering helped to give him away, said Jennifer of the Eagle Eye Detective Agency. Thanks to Celine, Dave will be too busy picking up trash to get into any more trouble this summer. And this would go into our scrapbook, except it appears not to be saving anything, which is kind of weird. Oh, no, wait. No, hold on. See scrapbook 1. And that's just it. Okay. Oh, and someone suggested last time we were on this screen, can you click choose a mystery and say okay? Yes, you can. That would have been a lot easier than the way we did it. So I thought choose a mystery was just like, choose from the following options, of which your following options were the practice mystery or the scrapbooks. I didn't realize choose a mystery was itself an option. So yes, we do. It did save. The case of the stolen skateboard is grayed out because we solved it. Okay, so all is right in the world. I just couldn't figure out the UI because I'm not smart enough for this game. Clearly, I can figure out who stole the skateboard, but I can't figure out the UI. I'm sorry for that, and thank you for whoever it was, I'm sorry, I can't remember, who pointed it out that we should probably try that as an option because that actually worked. Zizy says, you just have to pick 5 reasons he's guilty. You don't have to pick the other 15. Silverstar says, it's more like don't pick the 3 red herrings. Yeah, don't pick things like, can't remember the other kid's name already, but that other kid offered $150 for the skateboard. Like, that's obviously a red herring because it wasn't him. But Andia says, I like how it's sort of like, let's look at the clues. This guy said this thing. That guy said that thing. Dave has the stolen item in his possession, and we found a picture of a kitten on a table. Sorry, you need to find one more clue to solve this case. Yeah, you got to get to the 5 clues, even if it was like really obvious. Even like there were like 3 locations to visit, and we pretty much had the case wrapped up by like the second one, but we just had to talk to everyone and get all the clues so we could put the 5 together. And it's an edutainment thing. They want you to show your work. Okay, it's like doing like algebra problems in high school. You can know the answer, especially if you have a calculator, but they want you to show your work. So speaking of criminals who are like not even trying to cover their tracks, reckless robbers, if you will, that sounds like the name of our next case. He says, kittens are a mammal. Clues 5, nailed them. Perfect.
Attention all cars. The Richview Community Bank's been robbed of $100,000. Investigation team proceed at once to 2nd and Main.
Right, that's right. These kids have a police radio in their treehouse because, why wouldn't they? And now things have escalated a bit. We went from like someone left a note in my locker just to figure out, just to see if I could figure out who did it, and that's literally the only crime, to someone stole my skateboard, to a bank robbery.
Wow, did you hear that?
A bank robbery? Didn't we just hear a news story on 4 convicts that escaped here in Richview?
This is Encyclopedia Brown, you guys. Like, if you've ever read the Encyclopedia Brown books, like Encyclopedia Brown himself, the titular kid is like, he's like 8 or something, and he runs this little like detective agency out of his garage that's like 25 cents a day plus expensive. His desk is like a gasoline can, and he goes out and solves like Bugs Meany, stole my ice cream. But then every now and then, Encyclopedia Brown's dad, who's like an actual cop, comes home with a case he's stumped on because there's like been an actual murder or a bank robbery or like, some real stuff going down. And he just like tells the clues to his son over dinner, and Encyclopedia Brown just considers it and it's like, oh, okay, I think I cracked the case. Like, this is one of those things. Say says the literal arson case also seems escalating. So does the diamond theft, now that I mention it, or now that I think about it. Andy says, show your work always wrecked me in high school. Yes, but you've got all the answers completely correct, but you didn't show your work. Show what work? 8 times 7 is 56. What more is there to show? I think on that level, what they want you to do is like, they're trying to teach you how to break it down. So you do like 7 times 6 and then 7 times 5 plus a 0. Or no, excuse me, that's 7 times 56, not 7 times 8. Okay, 8 times 7, they just want you to know your times tables. And those always messed me up. I had a thing back in school where it was like the complete times tables, like 1 through, I think it was 11 or 12. And then they just randomize it and give you a whole sheet of paper that's like, okay, what's 4 times 5? What's 7 times 3? Et cetera, et cetera. And it was like 20 questions, and you had to fill the whole thing out in 60 seconds. And if you didn't do it, then you had to do it tomorrow. But everyone who actually solved it was just excused. So like every day they do the same thing again, and like fewer and fewer kids had to take it. It was only like the slow kids who had to keep doing it. And I think I was like, I think they did it for like a week, and we did it we succeeded on like the 4th day. So we got to take like the 5th day off, but like it was close. We were near the end. Oh God, Penguin, I was so bad at like calculus, trig. I could do algebra. That's about as high as I got. I could do algebra and maybe a little geometry. Once it got to trig, I started to struggle. Calculus, no. I'm going against the stereotype of people on the spectrum here, but I am horrible at STEM. Always have been. Really bad at math, really bad at science. Sorry. Really bad at physics. Just never been my subject. I've always been more the creative writing, art, like that kind of stuff. Which I know is against the stereotype, but you know what? A lot of spectrum stuff is against the stereotype. The stereotype is kind of bullcrap, actually. Anyway.
That's right. They jumped from the bus that was taking them to the state prison while it was stopped downtown. I bet one of them robbed the bank.
Yeah, this is getting serious compared to the stolen escape. Did you know this is only the 2nd case in the game? Like, not counting the tutorial case. The first real case was the stolen skateboard, and now all of a sudden we're after bank robbers. Okay.
Attention all cars. Disgraced criminals have been captured outside Swank's Hotel, but the $100,000 hasn't been recovered.
Wow! They caught the criminals, but the money is still missing. Let's get down to the police station and see if we can help.
Richview is, of course, such a sleepy Encyclopedia Brown setting kind of town that these, 10-year-olds can just walk down to the police station and be like, we're amateur detectives. We have a treehouse and everything. Can we help? And Officer Friendly is going to be like, oh, sure. Here's all our case files. Just like in real life. 4th case starts with Jennifer going to the gun store to buy a flamethrower. No, the 4th case is whichever kid you haven't been picking. So Mark in this case gets jealous that Celine and Jennifer are just like the entire face of the Eagle Eye Detective Agency, and he's just the 3rd wheel now. So he goes out and starts going on a killing spree, I guess. And I don't know. This doesn't even look like the front reception area. You can just walk into the police station, just go right up to this guy's desk in the back somewhere. These kids just have all access.
The police files on the 4 criminals. Let's see what we can dig up.
Of course he said we could see the police files on the 4 criminals. Why not? Why not? The police file on Shorty Briggs is pretty thick. A summary sheet is on top. William Shorty Briggs, age 34, height 5'1", weight 175, dark hair, brown eyes. Police record in 3 states, including armed robbery and jaywalking. Okay. Penguin says, literally the third wheel while Jennifer tries to get into your pants with the most uncomfortable date ideas ever. Well, we did pick Jennifer as our partner, and Penguin is here, so this is officially, like, devolving into lesbian shipping now, as is our want in these streams.
Thanks for your help, kids. I'm sure it was one of the 4 escaped criminals who robbed the bank. We have all 4 downstairs in the city jail.
Police Quest Jr. It is! This is Police Quest Jr., only without the, Sierra deaths. Well, that's why it's Police Quest Jr., I guess.
Once we identify the criminal, he'll tell us where he hid the money. He knows that the judge will give him a shorter jail sentence if he gives back the stolen cash.
Wouldn't it behoove him to tell you now, then? Like, before you have him dead to rights? His bargaining power reduces drastically once you've caught him. If he confesses right now, that's when you get a shorter sentence. If he spills the beans after you've caught him, that's not going to do anything. But what do I know? We're not the police.
We interviewed Mr. Green and Mr. Washington at the scene of the crime, but they weren't able to identify the robber. Any information you can dig up will help.
Wait, what makes you... Jennifer seems okay. She's got a cool 90s tablet and everything. And rollerblade. She's into rollerblading. Any girl who's into rollerblading can't be that trash, right? Andia says the Sierra deaths are replaced with childhood punishments, which aren't that much better given the time period. It reminds me of like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers. There's one scene where you get framed for something you didn't actually do, but like everyone thinks it was you, and your punishment is literally just that you have to go to bed without dinner. Like, it's the most child punishment ever. Like, they're just like, you don't get to eat dinner that night and you go to bed hungry. And they play it up like the biggest freaking betrayal. Like, something about the presentation in the PMD games, they made that scene hurt more than like when Sephiroth murders your entire hometown and like burns every building in your hometown to the ground and like kills your parents and like the stakes were so low. It's literally just like you go to bed without supper and like your boss is mad at you. But like they make it hurt so much. PMD is amazing is what I'm trying to say. You all should play it. Lefty Poltroon's police file contains his photograph and description. Joseph Lefty Poltroon, age 31, height 6'1", weight 230, blonde hair, blue eyes. Former heavyweight boxer, famous for his left hook, left-handed. That's why they call him Lefty. Froggy Forsyth's police file is packed with arrest records. His description mugshot are on top. Cecil Froggy Forsyth, age 32, height 6'2", weight 190, black hair, brown eyes. Former professor of English literature, has a slight limp and perfect manners. Police file on Red McShane contains arrest records from 7 different states. His photo and description are included. That sounds like a cowboy name. I'm sorry, Red McShane sounds like he's like if his mugshot doesn't show him wearing like a poncho and a freaking 10-gallon hat, I'm going to be very disappointed. It's... You know what? Yeah, I could see it. Maybe they just took the poncho and the 10-gallon hat when they arrested him. He's got the mustache for it. I'll let it pass. James Red McShane, age 33, height 6'2", weight 155, red hair, brown eyes. Part-time bronco rider and cattle rustler. Okay, good. We are redeemed. Large scar on right cheek. Cattle rustler. Cattle rustler. He's actually cattle rustling in the year of our Lord current year. Well, this isn't current year. This is very 90s, but you know. Cattle rustler. Really? Well, okay. That does sound like something Red McShane would do. All right, let's look around. Cattle rustling in the 90s isn't much better. Isn't it that?
The bank is almost empty. We were lucky with Sergeant Nails at the door because he knows us so well and let us in. He says we can't stay long, though, so let's hurry.
Isn't cattle rustling in the 90s that the name of that, like, meme song for, like, the LOL internet meme? I know it's actually running in the 90s. That was the reference joke, but, you know, shh. The teller windows where customers do business are on one side of the bank lobby, and a long counter lines the opposite wall. Pens are chained to the counter next to the stacks of deposit slips. The wall above the counter is covered by a large mirror. The wall to the left of the teller windows has a bullet hole in it. Okay. A video camera is mounted on the ceiling of the bank so it can record any attempted robberies. The camera has been destroyed by a bullet.
The holdup took place just after 1 p.m., when most of my tellers were out at lunch after the noontime rush. I was just reviewing the bad checks when I heard a shot.
Ah, it is some voice acting, my dears.
The next thing I knew, a man in a mask was telling me to fill his bag with money. I could see his eyes through the mask, though. They were dark brown.
All right, that narrows it down.
I could only see him from the waist up because I was behind the teller window. But he must have been a fairly tall fellow. His eyes were level with mine.
That also narrows it down. What do our suspects look like again? So tall, brown eyes. William, okay, so it's not Shorty, who's 5'1". It's not Lefty, who has blue eyes. Could be Froggy Forsyth. He's 6'2", has black hair, brown eyes. His name's Froggy, has limp, very polite. Red McShane, he's also 6'2", red hair and brown eyes. So it's either Professor Plum or the cowboy. Okay. Got everything here? All right. You want to skate over there? No hurry, no rush.
Mr. Washington was one of the witnesses to the holdup. Let's see if he can tell us anything about the bank robber.
I was filling out a deposit slip at the counter with my back turned to the tellers when I heard a gunshot. I looked up and caught a glimpse of the back of the robber's head in the bank mirror. His mask covered his face, but didn't go all the way around his head, so I could see that his hair was brown. Then he shouted for everyone to get down, so I dove under the countertop.
Well, if he had brown hair, then it probably wasn't Red McRedhead, so it's probably Froggy Forsyth, which again, we've narrowed it down to the suspect with like 2 entire locations to go. Good job, team.
He had a gun and shot a hole in the wall when Mr. Green didn't hurry with the money. I have to admit, I was afraid someone was going to get hurt.
That doesn't sound very polite, though, and Froggy Forsyth's thing is he's supposed to be very polite. That sounds more like something a cattle rustler would do. I don't know. We'll keep investigating.
I heard the gunshots while I was here picking out some earrings. When I ran to the window, I saw a very short man with a mask over his head and a big black bag run out of the building.
That contrasts everything. Didn't they just say it was a very tall man that robbed the bank? But a very short man with a mask on his head, big back plan, run out of the building. So were there two of them? Oh, right. We're not trying to solve the bank robbery. We're trying to find the money. Gotcha. Thank you.
It was the strangest thing. He was carrying a little stool under his arm.
Oh!
You know, the kind you might stand on if you couldn't reach a high shelf or something.
Oh, it was a short criminal who used the stool to make the teller think he was tall. It was Shorty. Okay.
Then he jumped into a green car that was parked at the curb outside the bank and sped away. He never took the mask off, so I'm afraid I didn't get a chance to see his face.
You can see the Richview Community Bank from the window of Washington Jewelers. The bank is directly across the street. And there's no one ever mentioned the Swanks Hotel, so I don't know why we're actually going here, but it's a location, I guess.
Swank's Hotel is really fancy. The radio report said they caught the
Oh,
escaped
okay.
criminals just outside.
Criminals at Swank's? The nerve! Some of them were caught just outside, but the police actually caught one of them here, inside the restaurant.
Well, it sounds like they rounded up all four of them. So they must have been involved. Oh, no, wait. No. I'm right. Okay. So all four of them escaped. They were escaped convicts, but only one of them robbed the bank while he was out. The others just kind of hung out, I guess, until they were arrested again.
We'd served him a complete luncheon. A criminal here in Swank's for over an hour. Oh, I can't bear it. At least he was a very polite fellow.
So the polite one was here, but the fact that he was eating lunch the whole time is actually an alibi. He didn't do anything after he escaped except just have lunch. Well, it was Shorty that robbed the bank. A sign by the registration desk welcomes the National Tulip Growers Convention. The welcome sign announces Windmill Slideshow and Tulip Bulb Exhibition tonight. Well, that sounds related to anything. One says, just hung out, Celine, you have no idea how running from the police works, do you? Well, this guy went to the restaurant, ordered lunch, just sat there for an hour eating his lunch and was polite with everyone. I call that just hanging out. Okay, so that's all the locations. Oh, we can't solve the case from here. We have to go back and pick a location and just... All right, so I believe... I mean, that has to be everything to solve the case, because we went everywhere and clicked on all the clues. There aren't going to be more places.
Chief Barnes that we really know the score. Pick the 5 clues that will lead you to the best suspect.
So, we think it was Shorty, so I guess we have to pick him. He's 5'1" with 75. Shorty Briggs has dark hair and brown eyes. All right. We don't need to establish anything about the other criminals. They're all irrelevant. Mr. Green said the criminal had brown eyes. You could only see him from the waist up, but the gunman's eyes were level with his own, which does suggest someone who's tall, but he also said he had brown hair, but Nicola Hamble says the bank robber was very short and carried a little stool with him from the bank, which explains how he could get eye level.
Those are the clues we need to help the police find out who did it. Now choose the convict that you think robbed the bank.
And with all of that, obviously it was Red. No, it was Shorty.
Right. Shorty Briggs was the gunman at the bank. Let's check the evidence. Mr. Green told us that the bank robber had brown eyes. He also said that he could only see the robber from the waist up, but that he must have been tall because his eyes were level with Mr. Green's. Mr. Washington told us the robber had dark hair. Nicola Hamble told us that the bank robber was a short man, but that he carried a stepping stool with him from the bank.
And which is, I love how there's basically one fact and everything else is irrelevant because there's only one short dude. Yeah, well, that's what led us to Shorty, the shortest criminal, who's named Shorty because he's short. But, I mean, they also gave the hair and eye color just to confirm, I guess.
Shorty Briggs has brown eyes and brown hair. He is only 5 foot 1 inch tall, which is why his nickname is Shorty. He stood on a stool while robbing the bank so that Mr. Green would report that the gunman was tall. But you saw through his trick.
He kind of does, doesn't he? Bank robber back in jail, stolen cash returned. Shorty Briggs, escaped convict from Rockford State Prison, was arrested yesterday for the robbery of the Richview Community Bank. Witness reports of the gunman at the bank stated that he was a tall man, explained Chief Barnes, so our investigators had ruled Briggs out. Celine realized that Briggs had been standing on a stool when the holdup took place to confuse the witness reports. With the evidence collected by the young sleuth, police were able to confront Briggs, who confessed and promptly turned over his loot to the authorities. Thanks to Celine, the stolen cash is back where it belongs, gushed Mr. Green, the bank manager, and the bank is happy to donate a cash reward to the Eagle-Eye Detective Agency in Celine's name. And that's that one. What's next? Case of the Runaway Reptile. Oh, I like this one. And the Mysterious Monster. Okay. I was going to say, I don't know if we're going to do how many more of these we were going to do. And I wanted to do these two in particular. So I might skip ahead to those ones if we were, if we were running short on time or anything, but they're the next two ones. So let's just do these two more. I'm thinking let's do Runaway Reptile, Mysterious Monster. And then I do want to skip ahead because if we're doing this and we're here anyway, I don't know if the Dangling Diamond is the one that stuck us, but it's the only one down here that has the word diamond in it. And on the off chance that's the one I remember, I just want to do it and see if it's as hard as we remember or what the deal is, if that even is the one we remember. And if it is the one we remember, can we solve it? Honestly, this is listed as book 1. Where is it? Where do you see that? No, I don't want to exit the game. I want to go back to the previous menu. Oh, there it is. Book 1. Right. I don't see a way to... There's no... That just chooses a case, that loads a game, that exits the game. These do nothing. Wait, the book 1 disappeared. Is this not book 1 anymore? I don't know. Let's solve the Runaway Reptile. I'm confused. Let's solve the Runaway Reptile before this gets any weirder.
Nancy, have you seen Watson around? He's not in his cage, and I don't see him anywhere in the eagle's nest.
Watson is, of course, their pet lizard. This is where they establish that they do, in fact, have a pet lizard. Before this case, you would have just had to have noticed that there's a terrarium. Terrarium? Is it a terrarium or a terrarium? There's a lizard cage sitting on top of this bookshelf here, which may or may not be relevant information because we still don't know what the hell this is. Zyzia says it might be a safe, which, you know, is a totally normal thing to have in a treehouse, but I mean, so is everything else, right? I like their complete sound system they have down here. Oh, no, wait, that's the police radio. Yeah, you're right. I think Sarah just reminded me that was the police radio. I like their hanging globe diorama. The Lizbox 360, Boxo Lizard, yes. Oh, the case of you already solved or recorded in Scrapbook 1. Okay.
You won't believe this, Jennifer, but Watson was all the way over at the library. Mrs. Minisky found him. It scared her to death.
Why does Nancy's voice sound like she's like a preschooler? She looks like she's supposed to be the same age as these other kids, but she looks like a kindergartner that's like the only like prepubescent voice they could find, and she's just really struggling with like how to read as she's reading her lines. Oh, we have a casualty. Oh no, it is escalating. We got a bank robbery. Now here's our first murder, you guys.
I stopped in to get a book on space for my science class, and Mrs. Garcia asked me to bring him back to you. She was kind of mad.
I think she's just a bad actor. Maybe. I don't know what the budget was for finding all the voice talent they did in this game. Like, everyone in every case has, like, these lines are all voice, so they had a lot of voice talent here. I guess they can't all be winners, but...
The library? How could he have gotten there?
But Nancy's a main character. You'd think if they had, like, bad actors, they would have put the bad ones as just, like, they're like, only there in one case, and they're, like, the culprit of that case or something. Like, that's like making one of the worst voice actors or actresses do, like, Jake or Jennifer. Like, Nancy's a main character. I don't know.
He must have escaped sometime last night. Or maybe he was lizard-napped. I'll bring him right up.
All right, so the Eagle's Nest is our first clue place to investigate. So this is the first time we actually get to look around here as a location. Or like, you know, a portion of here anyway.
Watson, our pet iguana, usually hangs out with us here in the eagle's nest. He must have crawled out the window and down the tree sometime last night.
The treehouse window looks like it was forced open.
Hey, look at that!
A bit of blue yarn is snagged on a nail outside the window. So, okay, look, for the first person who's wearing a blue sweater, and that's going to be our culprit, but...
Wow, it's a long way down to Mrs. Minisky's yard from the window. If someone came up this way to steal Watson, they'd have to be a really good tree climber.
Andia says she's just the side character that fans like, but the creators don't, with no real reason for either side feeling the way they do. Penguin says she's just standing like a huge dork, trying to look casual. She is like the nerdiest character in this game. She is just like over the top nerdy. She's like Steve Urkel nerdy, but like white and like even nerdier. But she's, you know, she's our friend and confidant, and she's the one who gives us our case info, and she's our dispatch, I guess. Watson's tank is on the bookshelf. The tank contains a warming rock and a bowl of water. The warming rock is electric. It gives off a little heat to warm Watson's tank. There's Watson. Oh, I love that icon. I love that. If Watson ever like had a portrait of like him opening his mouth for any reason, you could use that with this and like make a ping, like one of the ping tuber avatars that like Tristan makes, where they just take whatever game they're playing and just take a character and just like anything that has open mouth, closed and closed mouth, and just like turn it. Like I would totally make a Watson, like a talking Watson avatar. Look at that portrait. Watson's so cute. Watson's so cute. Who wouldn't want to have a pet like Watson? Watson is a common green iguana. He is green and blue, even though he's a common green iguana. So he's a liar and has a spiny ridge down his back. Watson's skin is rough and dry. His nails are long and sharp, so he can climb trees easily. Import Watson to a dungeon crawler. Yeah, just make him one of those like giant, like entire hallway-sized lizards you see in like Lands of Lore or something. Oh, or your new party fighter. Doesn't Legend of Grimrock let you just like import your own portraits for everyone? I forget how you do it, but like you can just like mod in whatever portraits. So you can like play Legend of Grimrock with like anime girls or whatever. We would, of course, would play it with Watson. And maybe like Grimrock from Doomsday Warrior and whatever other famous nerdy deep cut retro video game reference lizards we can find.
I'm sorry, Jennifer. I was sure I didn't leave that window open. It was cold out last night, so I shut it before I left. Come to think of it, if it was cold out, Watson would never have left on his own accord. Reptiles hate the cold.
Sizey says, yeah, I've had your Doomsday Warrior review bookmarked for that for ages. Okay, so lizards hate the cold, but there's a heat rock in Watson's terrarium. Lizards can climb trees, so before we even visit anywhere else, just this one location tells us someone forced the window, someone wearing a blue sweater, because we found blue yarn attached to the window, and like lured Watson down with like a heat rock or something. But then they would have had to climb up themselves to force the window, so that doesn't add up. Well, okay, fine. We'll have to investigate a second location, I guess. This is a tough case. You know it's a tough case when it's like we need to go to more than one location to solve it, but...
I hope Mrs. Minisky isn't too mad. Her house is right next door to our treehouse.
Your treehouse is bigger than your actual house! Look at that! Who builds a treehouse that's bigger than your actual house? I mean, that explains why it's so spacious and has like 2 stories and a bunk and a safe and a ladder and all that stuff on the inside, but like... typical 90s treehouse for 90s kids that solve 90s mysteries. Yeah, I guess. Encyclopedia Brown never had anything that cool. He just worked out of his garage, but the Eagle Eye Mystery kids are just loaded, I guess. Mrs. Meninsky's garage door is open. There's a box inside with some baseballs and a frisbee. Oh, that's her garage? Then is this our house?
Now just stay out of there, you two. Those are toys that I found in my yard. As I was explaining to Eric Vicker earlier, I don't appreciate you children playing on my property. If I find your toys here, I will simply take them away. That baseball there on top is Eric's. He wasn't very happy when I refused to return it, but that will teach him not to play in my garden. There I was, just sitting down for a nice quiet read in the library, when I felt something scramble over my foot. I looked down and saw that dreadful creature of yours scurrying under the table. It gave me such a shock. I think it's unnatural to have such a creature as a pet. You two should have a cat or a dog, not that nasty lizard.
What a lovely lady. I hope her house gets bulldozed and turned into a skate park. Yeah, I like that they're very clearly going for like crotchety old lady vibes here, but like the voice actress couldn't quite pull that off. But she sure tried. Zizi says, the treehouse isn't actually in our backyard. We sublet from the county. The Eagle Living compound is located out of town for tax purposes. Okay, so wait. So this is Mrs. Meninsky's garage. So that's...
Now just stay out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I
find
know. So this is the only piece of property here that we actually know is hers. Can we tell? So here's a fence. This garage has like a hedge here, but there's no fence between here and this house, which Mrs. Meninsky's standing by. So it looks like this is Mrs. Meninsky's house, and she just put her garage way the hell over there, like not even connected to the rest of the house. But this is all her property because this is the fence, the white picket fence encompasses all of this. There is a hedge separating the garage from the house, but she's got a 2-story house. I'm going to assume this is Mrs. Meninsky's house because she's standing right next to it, and if she were standing next to our house, that'd be a little weird. She's got a 2-story house. She's got like a bird bath here, little hedge thing here, edge here, and then, yeah, she's just got a separate garage. Okay. No, I'm just trying to establish what we're seeing here. So this is our tree house. So yeah, you can't see what our actual house looks like, but holy hell, our tree house is huge. And between her attitude and like this perfectly manicured hedge and this neatly trimmed thing here and everything, Mrs. Meninsky's like the kind of person who like runs the local HOA and just gets on everyone's cases because like their flowers are all in violation. That is a big red flag. Anyway.
To get to the library from the treehouse, Watson would have to come through Taylor Park. Maybe we can find some clues here.
One of the trees in the park has a frisbee stuck in it.
Hey, Mike, isn't that your frisbee?
Yeah, way up in that stupid tree. If I didn't hate heights, I'd go get it myself, but Eric will be by soon. He's a great tree climber. I'll ask him to get it down for me.
Eric is a great tree climber. Aha. I mean, not to profile like the one kid in town who knows how to climb trees, but this is that kind of game, so.
You guys missed it. Miss Meninsky completely freaked out at the library. Your iguana somehow got loose, I guess, and nobody noticed that it got into the library until it ran over her feet.
Does that guy expression his opinion, the Taylor Park sign, in a way that is inappropriate for this game? Any game for that matter? I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm sorry. Is that guy's expression his opinion of the Taylor Park sign? Oh, yeah. Like he's mooning Taylor Park? Okay, yeah.
The funny thing is that just the other day, Eric Vicker and I overheard Miss Meninsky saying to Miss Garcia that she is totally terrified of your lizard.
Eric Vicker. Also, just heard, like, oh, coincidentally, that Mrs. Minsky's terrified of the lizard. Yeah, so I think we have this case just about wrapped up now. Well, we just need to get the rest of the clues to do it formally.
She said just living next to you, knowing that Watson is in the treehouse, gives her the creeps. But I think Watson's a cool pet. He looks like a little dinosaur.
Dinosaurs are good. We have a dinosaur in our system. He's a good boy.
Hey, your iguana really stirred things up in the library. Mrs. Minisky saw him and she about had a cow. That was a great prank, you guys.
Mark Moriarty looks like the Xbox kid. You know, the one that says the best part about winning isn't winning, it's telling everyone that you did, or however that meme goes. He looks like that kid.
We didn't pull any prank, Mark.
Well, someone sure got a kick out of it. Eric Vicor and Mike Walker were totally cracking up. You should have seen the look on Mrs. Minisky's face. I thought she was gonna croak.
She didn't have a cow. She about had a cow. I wonder how someone partially has a cow, is about to have a cow, but then ends up not having a cow. They could have a k. They could have like a ka, but not the ow. Well, depending on how heavy Watson is, the owl might come when he ran over her foot, but he looks like if Guy Gardner was in the morning suit. I'll have to look up who that is. Unfortunately, I'm a little out of the loop there, but
Mrs. Garcia caught me laughing, but she knew I couldn't have done it. She saw me come in and I was only carrying my book on cave diving, not some big old lizard.
and we have one more location.
How did Watson get all the way over here? It's way too far for him to get to from the treehouse by himself. Let's see if doing research on iguanas will help us out.
Sizey says age-appropriate hobbies: solving mysteries, skateboarding, skating, cave diving, spelunking. Let's see if doing research on iguanas will help us out. Did you know, according to Mark Trail, that you can learn more about iguanas on the internet?
Well, Jennifer, I must say, I was not amused by your little joke. Mrs. Mininski was startled out of her wits when she found Watson creeping under her table.
It wasn't us, Mrs. Garcia, honest. We wouldn't just leave Watson here.
Then I think we'll all feel better if you find out who was responsible. I don't believe for 1 minute that your lizard walked here from your treehouse by himself.
Can you tell us who was in the library when Watson was found?
Well, Mrs. Minisky comes to the library every Saturday morning around this time. She likes to read under the skylights. Mark Moriarty, Eric Vicor, and Mike Walker were here also. Mark and Mike left for the park a few minutes ago, but Eric is still here studying.
Penguin says, fun iguana fact: iguanas can't use keyboards because they are iguanas. You know what else is a fun iguana fact? They get very wounded looking, like you just hurt their dignity if you dress them up in silly clothes. Source Nancy Drew in The Legend of the Crystal Skull, which Zizi did a lovely write-up of on Dreamwith. Y'all should read it there. Or she might just end up streaming it one of these days. But I like, of all the Nancy Drew games, I like Crystal Skull because that's the one where you get to wound an iguana's dignity. It really is quite sad. A book on reptiles has a chapter on iguanas. The book says that reptiles are cold-blooded and need to have a heat source to keep warm. The chapter on iguanas states that they can grow up to 6 feet long, are native to the rainforests of South America, and are mainly vegetarian. There's our very obvious don't pick this clue that they're just going to put it in the notes just to make sure, like for the really young kids, like make sure not to pick that one. The reptile book suggests that iguanas kept as pets be provided with a rock that is electrically heated to keep them from getting cold, a tree branch to climb on, and a light source that provides ultraviolet light, like sunlight.
Hi, Jennifer. Guess you guys heard about the excitement here earlier. Poor Mrs. Meniski.
You look like they just cloned you in a vat. Like, you look like the default character creator when you just start a new game, like before you've picked any options. Like, you just look like a blank new character that we haven't customized yet.
I was just sitting here studying for my social studies quiz when I heard her scream.
Damien Kavanaugh. I shouldn't recognize that name. I really should. That sounds familiar. Just seen Eric Vicker seen here on break from his job being the model for the Wolfenstein 3D sprites. Eric is wearing a blue sweater, which we feel the need to point out. The game doesn't tell you how everyone else is dressed. They just really want to make it obvious. Hey, psst, Eric is wearing blue. Oh, Dreamfall stuff. Okay. Oh, right. I remember Damien. Right. He was in the last video we saw. Okay. I knew that name sounded familiar. I just couldn't place it. Eric is wearing a blue sweater. A loose bit of yarn is trailing from the bottom as if he'd snagged it on something. Yeah, there's a large box under the table where Eric is sitting. Yeah, I think we're good at this point.
I think we've rounded up all the clues we need. Let's pick the 5 clues that point us to our suspect.
Piece of blue yarn is snagged on a nail outside the headquarters window. Whoever came that way must be a very good tree climber. Eric Vicker is a great tree climber. Eric Vicker's wearing a blue sweater today. It has a loose bit of yarn trailing. There's also a box sitting under his table. Mrs. Meninsky, aha, and this won't even give us our motive. Mrs. Meninsky found Eric Vicker's baseball in her yard yesterday and she took it away from him. He was angry she wouldn't return it.
Now let's see if we can point out who is responsible for Watson's mysterious appearance at the library.
This whole lizard prank was revenge. Watson. Watson's the culprit. I love his portrait though. Look at him. He's clearly the best drawn character in this game. Watson stole himself for insurance fraud, yes.
You're right. It was Eric who took Watson. He wanted to get back at Mrs. Meniski for confiscating his ball. Let's check the evidence. Nancy told
Watson and Eric have the exact same expression.
Window before she left yesterday. The window to the treehouse was open this morning, and a piece of blue yarn was caught on a nail outside. Nancy pointed out that our treehouse is really high up above Mrs. Meniski's yard. Whoever climbed up the tree and into the window must be a great tree climber. Watson was found in the library.
Oh God, they do.
He couldn't have gotten there by himself.
They totally do.
Mrs. Garcia told us that Mrs. Miniski was really frightened by Watson crawling over her feet. She said that Mark Moriarty, Eric Vicker, and Mike Walker were at the library when it happened. Mrs. Miniski said that she had recently confiscated one of Eric Vicker's baseballs that she found in her yard.
Conclusion. Eric actually stole Watson because they are both from outer space, and Eric is in disguise and wanted to rescue Watson from his imprisonment by these evil Earth children. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mark Moriarty told us that he saw Mike Walker and Eric Vicker laughing at Mrs. Miniski's fright. We ran into Mike Walker in Taylor Park. His frisbee was stuck up a tree. Mike said that he hates heights, but that Eric Vicker is really good at climbing trees. Eric was wearing a blue sweater today that looked as though it had been snagged on something.
Seriously, like, Good Faces Bot would have a field day with this game. Except for Watson. Watson's face really is good, but everyone else is like a Good Faces Bot good.
You figured it out. Eric Vicker snuck into the treehouse and borrowed Watson to play a nasty trick on Mrs. Miniski.
Lizard prank exposed, and of course they run with the best photo in the game. Gotta get Watson's picture in the papers there. Watson the iguana, the reptilian mascot of the Eagle Eye Detective Agency, was lizard-napped and used in a childish prank at the public library Saturday morning. At first, said Jennifer Eagle, Mrs. Garcia suspected that we were behind the prank, but Celine proved that Eric Vicker was behind the trick. When we confronted him with the evidence collected by Celine, Eric Vicker confessed. This is a long article for a less serious crime than the bank robbery, which only got like a paragraph, but okay. Eric broke into the eagle's nest so he could borrow the iguana to scare Mrs. Miniski. Mrs. Miniski had recently confiscated Eric's baseball when he carelessly left it in her yard. Looking for revenge, Eric remembered that Mrs. Miniski has a dread fear of the harmless mascot of the Eagle Eye Detectives, so he climbed the tree in which the Eagle's Nest treehouse lies and took the lizard to the library, where he knew Mrs. Miniski would be. Mrs. Garcia of the Richview Library stated, "Thanks to Celine's detective work, the mystery of the runaway reptile is solved. Eric Vicker will have to find another place to study this month. This library is closed to him." All right. So I think let's do two more mysteries. I want to do the mysterious monster because that's another one I remember from before, and it's another awesome one. Like that and the runaway reptile are like two of my favorite cases that I remember. And after that, I want to try the dangling diamond to see if it's the one we remember. It might not. It might be a different one entirely. Like I thought the case we got stuck on was later. I thought it was closer to the bottom of the list. But that's the only one that involves diamonds. So let's just compare that to what I remember and, see if we can solve the Eagle Eye mystery that actually stumped us as a child. Because so far, I've got to be honest with you, they haven't exactly been difficult. I mean, it is a kid's game, so I wasn't expecting it to be difficult, which that just makes me wonder why we were stuck on the dangling, well, if it is the dangling diamond, why we were stuck on whichever one we were stuck on. Either there's a difficulty spike, or we were just really clueless kids. I suspect it's the latter, but I want to confirm. This will put, like, something I've been wondering about for, like 25 years or so to rest, if that's the right case. And if it's not, I guess we'll come back and stream this again until we find it. But anyway, two more cases.
We interrupt our program for this bulletin. The Radio Richview newsroom tells us that a large monster was spotted by several people early this morning at Buccaneer Beach. The monster, described as over 60 feet long, raised its head up out of the water. It approached the beach and was reported to cry out at the amazed onlookers. Sounds pretty far-fetched to me, folks, but state investigators are on the beach right now checking it out. Look out, Loch Ness Monster. Here comes the Richview reptile.
A sea monster at Buccaneer Beach? Let's get over there and check it out.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations here. Once again, I don't think we're going to need all 5 to solve the mystery, but, you know, gotta be thorough. Maybe, but how would you cheat in this game?
Wow, look at all the people here at the beach. Uh-oh, it's Mark Moriarty, and he's being interviewed by TV reporters. I thought something strange was going on, and now I see why. That Mark is always playing some clever trick.
The musical cue with it is really what does it. Like, there almost isn't music in this game except when she's rollerblading in, and then it's just like the music that pairs with her rollerblading in is just, it's such an intro. Like, you could use that for being rated or something. Just like that exact musical sting with a shot of Jennifer just skating in with her 6 raiders or however much she's rating us with.
But how could he convince people they saw a monster at the beach? Could he be telling the truth for once?
Is that Watson on the lower right there? That's a good question.
What in the world is that?
Well, it's not Watson, because we would recognize Watson.
It's a big piece of green plastic, about the size of a beach towel. It feels even thicker than the plastic sheet Dad puts over the firewood stacked in the backyard.
Hi, Jennifer. You hear about the monster we saw? Willie Barr was with me. He even saw it first, plain as day. Steve Shred was here windsurfing when it happened. He saw it too.
Oh, so a lot of these NPCs actually are recurring characters. Willie Barr's not just the kid who was here to be the skating champion who got his skateboard stolen and then heck off for the rest of the game. He actually is a citizen of Ridgeview? They literally just said the name of this town. I swear my memory is getting worse. This place.
Yeah, I saw it first, even before Mark. At least I thought I did. When I told him about it and pointed, he saw it too. He said he could see it as clear as day. It was huge, bigger than the tallest building in town. It was right out that way, about 50 feet offshore. Had a big long neck we could see even through the fog.
This morning's fog is finally lifted. Sailboats cruise by a few hundred feet offshore. Well, nothing's bigger than our treehouse, but this might be the second biggest object in Richmond, wherever the hell we are. Professor Crank, and he looks like that. Okay. Well, it is a kid's game.
Look at that! The floor of Professor Crank's lab is covered with sand. He must have been at the beach.
He looks like science. He does. He looks like one of those very obvious, like, look at me, I'm a scientist characters like Newton Gimmick or someone like that. What's his name from Rescue Rangers, maybe? Dr. Brain.
Well, if you must know, I was at Buccaneer Beach this morning, but I didn't see any monster, just the blimp flying along the shore. I suppose it was on its way to the capital for the big game.
And of course he's got an accent like that too, and the hair, and Professor Nimnol from Rescue Rangers. Thank you. I knew, I thought it was Nimnol, but I thought I was getting it confused with Newton Gimmick because of the N sounds. And it's like Nim something, new something. Yes, Professor Nimnol. And Newton Gimmick and all these other like cartoon science figures. I swear there were more than just those two. I swear it was a trope and they were like everywhere, but like those are the only two I can place offhand. Maybe Baxter Stockman before he got transformed?
I was testing my new practical joke invention, the smelly salmon. It's for when you go fishing with friends. You hook it to the line while they're not looking.
I like how he has 2 pairs of glasses. Oh my God, he does. 2 pairs of glasses. In case he loses them, yeah.
Now, all fish smell bad, but the smelly salmon smells even worse. No fisherman can stand to stay in the same boat with it.
Doc Brown from Back to the Future. That's another great one. Why didn't I think of that one? Yeah, that one's obvious. And I'm sure they've had a couple like obvious Einstein parodies in like Animaniacs episode or something. There's of course Dr. Einbach from Hypnosis, who has no relation whatsoever to Einstein. Everyone go check out Hypnosis if you haven't seen Zizie's, either her long play or her narrated stream. Both are just absolute gold. Hypnosis is such an experience. As for what Professor Crank actually does, he sits in a lab all day and makes practical joke items like the smelly salmon. So I think he works for Archie McPhee.
Gross. I hope we're not having salmon for dinner.
I'm going to sell it to a practical joke company. It will be my biggest hit since the singing banana.
So he does work with Archie McPhee, yes. A large rubber fish rests on top of Professor Crank's workbench. It smells like a real dead fish, only worse. Sorry, Andy says, I'm sorry, just those double glasses are such a brilliant thing. Such a brilliant thing that I don't know why I've never seen that anywhere else. The only other place I can think of is like in like kids anime, like Digimon or something. You get the kids who have like the anime goggles on their forehead, and then sometimes they actually need goggles, like to go through a sandstorm or something. And they won't use the ones on their forehead because those ones are just decorative. So they'll get like other goggles. So at that point, they'll have like 2 pairs of goggles. They'll have the ones that are just part of the costume, and then they'll have, the special goggles just to actually like, protect their eyes. Takato specifically. Yeah, it's like, Takato, why do you even have those goggles if they're just like decorative? But and of course Zizie's persona. She too wears goggles and glasses. She's been thinking of adding a 3rd pair somewhere. That's right. You have the one that's just kind of dangling on a chain like a necklace, right? You've got like the pair you're actually wearing, and then you've got like a like librarian glasses that just kind of like dangle around your neck like a chain. You could also put one on your forehead, so you could have a 3rd pair.
Steve Shred was at Buccaneer Beach this morning windsurfing. Let's find out what he saw.
Why is that one bike wheel here spinning? Did someone like get up on a ladder just to like spin that? Is it near a fan that's like blowing it? It's not clickable, so we'll never know. The only point of interest here is Steve
Don't get me
Shred.
mixed up in this monster thing, Detective Dudes. I thought I saw something big over there, but it was Max Foggy this morning, caught in sky time, you know? It's tough
Because
to
it's a
know what
Ghost
you're
Rider.
seeing then. I was waiting for it to clear up so I could go windsurfing. That's when I saw it. Whatever it was making this real high-pitched whining sound, like a tea kettle whistling when it's ready.
Okay, that's probably important.
What did you see?
Just something really big and dark with a long neck out that way. From here it was too foggy to see more. I just saw it a mini instant, and then it was gone. But it wasn't a ship or anything. Even at high tide, the water here's too shallow for more than a rowboat to get in. Professor Crank was down here too, but I don't know if he saw anything. Don't tell anyone I said I saw a sea monster, though. Too many people in Richview already say my head's been sandbar skimming too long.
Richview, that's the name of this town. Now I'm going to forget it in like 2 seconds again, but I was close when I said Ridgeview, I guess. Okay, why is... That is a musical cue for okay, let's go home. But why is the Eagle's Nest a point of interest?
Left the TV going. Good thing we came back. It's a real waste of energy to leave it on. Looks like the news.
But no one was injured at the big season opening parade when freak winds tore a giant balloon from the hands of the 20 people guiding it down Main Street here in the capital.
Aha.
The balloon was shaped like the long-necked cartoon character Danny the Dinosaur. Although it was as tall as a 3-story building, no one has seen it since it blew away.
Okay. This went from we have no leads to case closed remarkably fast, didn't it? We've got one more location, which I assume was just where we're going to put it all together.
Maybe there will be something at the library that will help us solve the case of the mysterious monster.
You might try the books on biology. Biology is the study of living things. Those books list all the largest creatures ever discovered in our oceans and lakes.
Millions of years ago, great plesiosaurs lived in deep water right where Richview is today. They used their long necks and sharp teeth to catch fish. Plesiosaurs were marine dinosaurs. They grew up to 40 feet long and weighed many tons. Some of their pictures look like the monster Mark described. Like all dinosaurs, they are extinct. Rude! Rude! Asterisk hugs our day.
We studied plesiosaurs in school 2 years ago, and Mark was in my class.
So I think that's all the locations. I think we have to solve the case now. I don't remember anything that confirmed what that noise was. It might be in the notes. The notes pay better attention than I do sometimes. So yeah, these have all been visited. So I guess let's just pick one and go back to it because you can only solve from a location.
I think we're ready to solve the case. Choose the 5 clues that best show whether or not the sea monster is real.
So obviously it's the balloon, but like, I don't know what we do for the other 4 clues. Says he thought the monster, pointed out to Mark. Mark saw it too. This monster was about 50 feet from the shore. Maybe there really is a monster at Buccaneer Beach. That's a clue we can pick. Lovely. What's down here? We found a piece of thick green plastic on the sand at Buccaneer Beach. That sounds important. Steve Shred says he thought about long neck monster. He heard the creature give off a loud whine or whistle. I think that's an important one. Or Professor Crank's lab is covered with sand. I mean, that proves Professor Crank was at the beach, but I don't think that's what we're trying to prove. Professor Crank was at the beach, but all he saw was a blimp flying by. Biology, the branch. Yes, biology is the branch of science that studies living things. That's the clue we need to solve this case. Plesiosaurs, marine dinosaurs. Mark studied plesiosaurs with us. A big helium-filled balloon was blown away from a parade. Yeah, all the other clues in there's just that one at the very end there. Big helium-filled balloon was blown away from a parade at the state capitol this morning. It was shaped like the long-necked cartoon character Danny the Dinosaur. No one has seen it since it blew away. I don't even know what other clues you can use to supplement that. I guess let's just go back through and just pick 2 more, but I guess Professor Crank saw a blimp? No, I don't think. Yeah, maybe. Sea monster has been reported. Person of being Mark Moriarty asking about the monster. I guess this one establishes that it's not just one person making stuff up if a bunch of people saw it. I don't know. I'm kind of reaching on the last clue here. I feel like the first 3 clues really are all we need, and the other 2 are just pick 2 more from the list, I guess. But let's see if they'll accept it.
Great.
Okay, they took it.
That Mark and Willie really did see something at the beach. Select the sea monster, even if you don't think they saw a real monster. Otherwise, select the person who you think made up the story.
So obviously it's a blimp that just kind of tricked everyone. But the reason I really remember and like this case is, like she said, if you think they saw something and it really was like a legitimate thing people saw, even if it wasn't a monster, even if it was a blimp, you choose the sea monster. The sea monster is the culprit. Also, I love this portrait. Otherwise, you pick whoever you think is just like making up the story. And clearly the story's not made up. Too many people saw it. Like Steve Shred saw it, Willie Barr saw it, Mark Moriarty saw it. Professor Crank's the only person here who didn't see it. So it's the sea monster. So I love this case because it's because it's a blimp and they saw things and it was like, trick of the eyes and high-pitched whine, etc., etc. But like, I just love the presentation where you have to go into this game, investigate the clues, get to this screen, and choose sea monster as the culprit. And I love this portrait so much. Look at that sea monster. That is an incredible sea monster. That's another one, just like the portrait of Watson, where if it had an open mouth sprite, you could use that as like a VTuber thing like Tristan does. And also, once again, just like Watson, the scalies are clearly the best art in this entire game. Like, this thing is dithered, it's detailed, it's shaded. Look at the sea monsters. Like, look at this face. And then look over here at Steve Shred. Like, this artist clearly wanted to draw sea monsters and Watson and, like, lizard men and, cool scalies all day. And he or she was just unfortunately trapped in a game where he or she had to make like Steve Shred's portrait and Willie Barr's portrait. But then you get to this one case where the sea monster is the culprit. And they were like, finally, this is my time to shine. Look at this sea monster art. This is beautiful compared to everyone else, which is like Paging Goodface's bot. Flair says, if it had an open mouth sprite, it would be one of those creepy, you know someone is a vor artist when open mouth sprites. Yes, true.
You figured it out. Mark and Willie really did see something this morning in the fog, and you can prove it. Let's check the evidence. Willie Barr says he thought he saw a sea monster bigger than a building this morning in the fog at Buccaneer Beach. Mark Moriarty was with him and says he saw the monster clearly. Steve Shred was at the beach and thought he saw something that was making a loud whistling noise, but the fog was too thick to be sure. Professor Crank was there too, working on his smelly salmon invention. He didn't see a monster, just what he thought was the big-mouthed blimp flying by overhead. We found a tattered piece of heavy plastic on the sand, then saw on the TV news that a big balloon blew away from a parade in the state capitol this morning.
Did the balloon look like that before it deflated? Because that's the best balloon ever, if it did. Like, I'm not one of those furries who's like into inflatables and like has the giant pool toy collection because that's my thing. But like, if they made one that looked like this, I might reconsider.
That's what Mark and Willie saw in the fog, the balloon of Danny the dinosaur.
Please tell me that's the picture they're going to go with for the scrapbook. Yes! What happened to its eyes? They gave it like solid black, like solid eyes. What do you call those? Like when the pupils are just so big that like it looks like that's like you know, mouse eyes or, you know, dogs or like animals that just have their eyes just look like that. Alien space dragon. Sclera. No, it's when they don't have the visible sclera. It's like when the pupil takes up the entire visible part of the eye, so their eyes just look solid black. Dilation. Yeah, okay. The young sleuths of the Eagle Eye Detective Agency solved 2 mysteries at once today. They discovered the remains of a huge balloon blown away from a state capitol parade, and they explained the report of a monster at Buccaneer Beach. Celine and Jennifer figured out that the 2 stories were related, said Richview's Police Chief Barnes, because the police chief is bored enough to get involved in a case like this. They talked to all the witnesses and learned enough to figure out what happened. Strong winds carried the Danny the dinosaur balloon from the Capitol to the beach, explained Jennifer Eagle, where our witnesses mistook it for a sea monster. The TV stations in the state capitol have all carried interviews with Celine and Jennifer because it's a really slow news day, apparently, trying to explain how the 2 young detectives solved a mystery that fooled all of their best roving reporters. You have really bad reporters if you couldn't figure that one out. I'm sorry. All right, so we have one more mystery to do, and we're going to skip ahead. I mean, we've got plenty more mysteries to do. We've got plenty more mysteries to do. But we have one more that we're going to do this stream. And that's, like I said, I'm just really curious if the case of the dangling diamond is the one that we remember from childhood. Because they haven't hit us with anything hard yet. So either this is going to be the case we remember, and there's suddenly going to be a difficulty spike, or it's the case we remember and just we were really clueless kids back then, and it's going to be as easy as all the others, and I don't know why we didn't figure that out. Or this isn't going to be the case we remember, because there are so many cases here. It could be any of these. It could be the counterfeit card. It could be the international idol. But I think I'm gonna start, because I remember it having something to do with a diamond robbery or something. I think I'm going to start with the case of the dangling diamond and see if this is it, and see how memory holds up to we're adults now. Can we solve things like adults?
Did you hear? Medford's jewelry shop was broken into last night. The thief took expensive diamonds, and the police can't find any clues.
Wow! Let's get over there and see if we can help out.
If we can solve this one, I mean, if this one's like as easy as the other ones have been, I'm going to feel a little embarrassed that younger me and my friend were apparently stumped by it, but it at least will put, a 25-year-old mystery to bed, something I've been curious about this entire time. So let's see.
Medford's jewelry shop is in a fancy building downtown. Everything here looks expensive.
The young detectives are here. Oh, I hope you can help me. They took a diamond necklace worth $75,000. It was hidden in a secret safe, but they knew right where it was.
All right, so already I'm getting an inside job.
I saw it in the window last weekend walking with Mom. That necklace was really beautiful. No wonder it cost $75,000.
I think Washington had this done. I've been taking all his best clients, and he's desperate to stop me. I had a customer coming in to buy the necklace today.
Wait, Penguin, I thought the famous Loch Ness Monster photo was actually a forgery. I hadn't heard it was, wow, okay. Bills and other papers are strewn across Mr. Medford's desk.
This is what's really puzzling me. The diamond was taken from the secret safe here in the ceiling of my office. I had it installed when we remodeled the store. No one knows about that safe except Melinda Joost, myself, and Mr. Pahalski over at Dependable Construction. They're the people who put it in for me. Somehow the thief must have learned about the safe from one of them.
I'm a clerk here in the store. I'm afraid I'm not going to be much help to you. I haven't seen anything unusual lately. Poor Mr. Medford. He had a customer who was coming in to buy the necklace today. I'm sorry I keep yawning, but I was at a party last night and I had a big fight with my boyfriend, Jeff Miller. My best friend and I stayed up half the night talking about it, and I am very tired.
Okay.
The robbery happened last night. They pried open the front door with a crowbar, went straight to the hidden safe, and took the diamonds.
See? So the robbery happened last night. She's really tired today. She's one of the only 3 people in the world who know about this safe. This is the first location we visited. We haven't even checked every fact in this location. Maybe I really was just, not very observant back then. Front door looks like it was pried open with a crowbar. The latch has been bent and scratched by a metal tool. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 other locations to check. Yeah, maybe it was just we had an idea who it was and we just couldn't get the 5 clues they wanted. I don't know.
Washington's Jewelers is in a brick building downtown.
I was worried when Medford's jewelry shop opened that our store might lose customers, but we're doing better than ever.
Okay. That's it? That's all we're getting from here? All right. Let's go to the library and look up what diamonds are and how they're made, because I'm sure that's important to this case.
Mrs. Garcia, the librarian, can help us find old newspaper clippings.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like it rules out that guy because he has no motive because his business is doing fine actually. But since when is like you're making enough money and you don't need to make any more? Like since when has that ever stopped capitalism? Like ever?
Here's a clipping. Medford's jewelry shop grand opening 6 months ago.
It says dependable construction did the work.
Here's another clipping. No, this is about Washington Jewelers. It says they just completed their best year ever.
How are you traveling with Jennifer? And she's rollerblading. How are you, Celine, in universe, traveling with her? Or does this question cost a plort explain? You know, we'll do it for free. We don't appear to have a physical presence. I think Jennifer might be plural, and we are playing as her headmate. And we're just kind of giving her ideas the way Sarah just reminds me of things. Oh, okay, we haven't explained the plort redemption. Okay, so yes, Jennifer is definitely a system. We are playing as her newest headmate that just developed when we did the tutorial case. Jennifer is actually not that great a detective on her own, but just the same way that Sarah kind of reminds me of things I forget sometimes, we, as her newest headmate, are just kind of feeding her the information she needs to be a successful detective. And we are making a very good team. And that is why I'm always teaming with Jennifer. And you never see Mark. You never see Jake. Is Jake the brother? Yeah, Jake anywhere. Jake's just off hanging out somewhere else. Jennifer and her system are out solving these crimes.
Somewhere around 80 points.
Yes. She has somewhere around 80 system members. It's a very big system. So this library article here just confirms what Mr. Washington said, which is that Washington Jewelers is doing just great, actually. So that's 2 locations with like 1 interactable thing each that all like even told us the same thing. So it's a good thing we got pretty much everything we needed from the first location because we're not really getting anything from anywhere else. Andy says, why do I actually really like the idea of when you're playing a game as a specific character? Oh, excuse me, sorry.
On the edge of town. Mr. Polholsky owns the company.
Why do I actually really like the idea of when you're playing a game as a specific character that you give order suggestions to, you're taking the role of their headmate? That just reminds me that we should really, like, if it wasn't like 300 hours long and we're already in the middle of Etrian Odyssey and like other really long stuff, like if it wasn't just so much of a commitment, I might want to stream Contact one of these days. Because I never got that far in that game, just again, because it's so freaking long. But it touches on that in the little we've seen of it in a way that really intrigued me, that makes me want to see more someday. Like, if it wasn't such a project, unfortunately, there's just a little too much game there for us to consider at this time. Like, maybe if it were shorter, but oh my God, it is not. It's like Dragon Quest VII, but... if someone has the time to tackle Contact, then that would touch on that in a lot of ways, in a lot of really cool, interesting ways, I think.
Medford was robbed? Oh, no. We were the ones who remodeled his store 6 months ago. We put in a special security system and everything.
Mr. Medford told us about the hidden safe in his ceiling. He said the thieves went right to it, so they must have known where it was.
How could they? I signed a special paper saying that Jeff and I would never tell anyone. Even my wife doesn't know about the secret safe in Mr. Medford's ceiling. I guarantee you, that safe was perfectly hidden. Jeff Miller is an excellent carpenter, and he put a lot of time in on that project for us. He did a great job.
So, because this is a kid's game, I guess they want you to think just because like they signed a contract that says they promise they'll never tell, I guess that means that it must not have been them, because obviously no one can ever break a contract. Just like no business could ever have its record year of best profits ever and like still be greedy and want more, because that never happens in real life either. It's a kid's game. I kind of wish the universe worked the way it does in here, but like according to the greatly simplified, according to the rules of Eagle Eye Mysteries, where human nature does not exist, he signed a contract, and therefore it could not have been him who blabbed about the safe.
Can you tell us where you were last night, Mr. Polholsky? Was anyone with you?
Oh, and he's probably got an alibi. They probably should have led with that rather than the contract thing, but okay.
Why, yes. My wife and I had dinner with their sister and their family at a restaurant downtown. Then we went back to their house and stayed quite late.
Yeah, so he's got an alibi. Wait, did he say Jeff was with them too? Oh, I'll talk to Jack.
Did you work with Mr. Polholsky on Mr. Medford's jewelry shop?
We do this in a hurry. I've got lots of work to do. Yes, I worked on the Medford jewelry shop project.
Speaking of hair that's just so mismatching that I immediately suspect a toupee. You could have at least tried to get the hair or get the color right, but
So you knew about the secret safe hidden in the ceiling?
What? What secret? Oh, wait a second. Yeah, there was some special deal we put in his office ceiling, wasn't there? Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Well, okay. Now, we pretty much had Mrs. Juiced pegged as the culprit from the word go, but this guy is acting kind of sketchy.
Would you mind telling us where you were last night?
Well, I went to a party, but then I had a fight with my girlfriend, Melinda Juiced. After that, I went for a long walk by myself.
Oh, the two suspects we have that we actually suspect at this point were the two who were at their party, and like those were the couple. Melinda and Jeff were the couple that had a fight, and then they were both up last night. One of them stole the jewelry. I guess neither has a really good alibi then, do they? He went for a long walk by himself, so he doesn't really have an alibi. That's great. Papers are stacked neatly on Mr. Polholsky's desk. Workers are busy going in all directions with tools, wood, and other materials. There's a crowbar in the tool shed. Okay. This is starting to look more like Jeff, actually. Is that the last location? Do we have one more? We've got one more. Medford's house? We're just gonna go stop by this dude's house and look around?
Mr. Medford has a nice house in a quiet neighborhood. A separate garage is at the end of the driveway.
Yeah, people just have separate garages in this game that aren't connected to the house. Okay. There is a workshop in the garage, but the tools are all covered with dust. The crowbar is scarred from years of use. Its surface is covered with dust, so it wasn't... Okay, so it couldn't have been Mr. Medford because his crowbar's dusty, which means he hasn't been used and it wasn't used last night, I guess. Because, you know, he's incapable of getting another getting another crowbar from anywhere else, because this is a kid's game. Let's not overcomplicate things. The house is securely locked. It looks like it needs a new coat of paint. And that's all we're getting. Okay, so I can see why if we were younger, we might have been stuck on this, because it's not immediately obvious. Well, okay, it is pretty obvious that it was Jeff, but it's not immediately, like, as obvious as the other cases were, where we had Mrs. Juice pegged as the culprit for a while there. I think it's Jeff, but there's one thing I want to check. So if we go to solve the case...
We've got all the clues we need. Pick the 5 clues that point to the best suspect.
I'm going to pick one clue, and it's going to be like a deliberately wrong clue, and I'm going to submit it just to confirm if this is the case we're remembering, because this is where we were stuck as kids. Like, whatever clues we picked, they said something about, yeah, I don't know, like, this seems convincing enough, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to convince a judge and jury. Like, I remember them specifically saying something about, like, it has to be enough to convince a judge and jury, is the error message. So if we fail to get, like, if we submit bad clues and that's what she says, then this is the case. And it wasn't as hard as I remember it was, and I guess we just got smarter over the years. But, so it wasn't Mr. Washington, so I'm just going to pick this one and just submit it and see what she says.
There are so many clues, it's hard to decide. But let's be sure we're using our best evidence to accuse the diamond thief.
That's not what I remember her saying, so maybe this wasn't the case. Maybe we're getting our memories mixed up. Because I remember a diamond case, but I very clearly remember that the case we got stuck on is one where if you submit the wrong clues, they say something about it, like, is this going to be enough to convince a judge and jury? I remember them saying that as the fail message. So I think I'm just remembering that we played this case too, but that means this wasn't the one we got stuck on, which means I have no idea which one it was, because the only things I remember about this game is that there was a diamond case and that there was the one we got stuck on, which means we're going to have to stream more of this. Because we're going to have to go through, like, all of those endgame ones until we find, like, the right one. But in the meantime, let's solve the diamond one, I guess.
We've got all the clues we need. Pick the 5 clues that point to the best suspect.
It was hidden in a secret safe, but the thieves knew right where it was, so that's a clue. The person who robbed Medford's jewelers pried open the door with the crowbar. Yeah. The only people who knew about it were himself, Melinda Joost, and Mr. Paholsky. But Mr. Paholsky told Jeff, so we need 2 clues to get that chain there, because it was Jeff. Mr. Paholsky's company installed a hidden safe in stealing Mr. Medford's office. He signed a paper saying that he and Jeff Miller would never tell anyone else about the hidden safe. Oh, wait, here it is. Let's unselect that one. Mr. Paholsky says Jeff Miller installed a secret safe, and he spent lots of time making sure it was well hidden. And then where's one about Mr. Paholsky has a crowbar? Tools stored at Dependable Construction include a crowbar.
Now choose the person you think stole the hidden diamonds.
So if it was this case, then we just got past the part we never got past, which is we were never able to pick the right clues to even get to the part where you pick a suspect. Like, we kept, like all the clues we thought were the right ones. Every combination of clues we tried to pick, we could never get past the screen where all it says is like, I don't know if those clues are going to be enough to convince a judge and jury. So we got this one on the first try. It's Jeff Miller, pretty obviously, and we solved the case.
Jeff Miller stole the diamond.
There it is. So, that was not as hard as I remember, but it's also, I don't think that was the case. I don't think that was the one that stumped us after all. I think we played this one too, because I remember, the diamond case that definitely involved diamonds. But I think what happened is I'm remembering two separate things, and I confabulated them. I remembered the diamond case, and I remembered the case we got stuck on because our clues couldn't convince a judge and jury, which means I thought that it was the diamond case, and we were stuck on that one because we couldn't convince a judge and jury. Instead, there are two separate cases, which means I have no idea what the other one is. Which means I guess we're just going to have to keep streaming this game until we 100% it. And every time we get a case, I'm just going to submit the wrong clues first just to see what the error message is, to see if we can find which one talks about a judge and jury, because that's the only remaining clue I have to go on. If you take the diamond case away from me, that's the only thing I remember about the one we got stuck on. We were stuck on it, and that's what they said. That's it. That's all I remember. So it could be any of the remaining ones. So we'll be doing more of this, and we'll keep looking for it.
Let's check the evidence. A $75,000 diamond necklace was stolen from Medford's jewelry shop. The robber pried open the door with a crowbar and went straight to the secret safe where the diamond was hidden.
Zizi says, of note, there are 3 books. You unlock a new one when you complete the first set, and then there's something called the challenge book. There are a lot of cases in this game. We could be at this for a while. I hope you're entertained watching Eagle Eye Mysteries. I hope this is something you don't mind seeing more of, because it sounds like there's going to be a lot more of this. My word.
Mr. Medford says that only he, Melinda Joost, and Mr. Polholsky knew about the secret safe he'd had installed in his office.
Say says this is fun. Excellent. I'm glad. Andy says I absolutely want more of this from you. Okay, good. Have I mentioned how much we love our audience? Because, there are so many people out there that would just, even if we, the host, are having a good time with this game, that's like, nah, we don't want to watch. We demand you play something else that we want to see. The fact that you all are essentially, I don't know how to put this other than you're buying what we're selling. You're picking up what we're putting down. We're playing something like Eagle Eye Mysteries, and you all are saying, yeah, this is cool. This is something we want to watch more of. We do not take that for granted. It really means so much to us that, you want to see more of this. That we've cultivated the kind of audience that, this is the kind of content you're here for. I'm so appreciative of that. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I love you.
The door of diamonds leads to my home.
That was actual perfection in the Ninevean wisdom. To get that, to roll that one, of all the 7 it could have been, you rolled that one in the diamond case. Well done, Flair. You just won Ninevean wisdom. You just won that entire redeem. Also, thank you so much for that redeem.
Melinda Joost was talking with her friend late last night. She couldn't have stolen the diamond. Mr. Polholsky was at his wife's sister's house late last night, so he's cleared from the list of suspects as well.
Oh, I kind of forgot that Mrs. Joost had an alibi. Okay, never mind. Yeah, that part tripped me up a little. India says, I sort of more enjoy this game, giving me lots of opportunities to try and find something to comment on, to bring you enjoyment, which brings me enjoyment, loot, feedback. Hey, we're loving this. And if you're loving this too, if this is brightening everyone's day, then, everyone wins. I'm really glad for that. Thank you all so much. Thank you for experiencing this with us and for allowing us to experience this with you.
But it turns out that Jeff Miller works for Mr. Polholsky. He actually installed that secret safe in Mr. Medford's shop. And until last night, he was Melinda Juist's boyfriend.
Did she dump him because of his toupee, I wonder?
Jeff Miller has no alibi for last night. He said he went for a long walk by himself after he had a fight with Melinda.
Big Richview jewel robbery solved. Locals, wow, the black and white version of that picture makes his toupee even stand out even more. Incredible. Local sleuths Celine and Jennifer Eagle of the Eagle Eye Detective Agency today solved the mystery of the nighttime robbery at Medford's jewelry shop. Confronted with the evidence, construction worker Jeff Miller confessed that he stole the diamond from a hidden safe, the safe which he himself installed in the jewelry shop only 6 months ago. When Jeff heard from Melinda Juist, his girlfriend, that the $75,000 diamond was to be sold the next day, he used his knowledge of the hidden safe to steal it, explained Jennifer Eagle. Jeff started a fight with Melinda at a party so he'd have an excuse to leave, then broke into the shop with a crowbar from Dependable Construction. Police Chief Barnes added Jeff didn't realize that Celine would find out that he knew about the safe. Once they put all the clues together, he was on his way to jail. And if you look at our mystery list, that's, we've got those 4, and then the dangling diamond is down there somewhere. So yeah, it must be one of these ones, because I thought it was somewhere towards the end. But, or, maybe it was in one of the later books. Maybe it was in the challenge book. Who knows? We could be searching for this one for a while. But that gives us incentive to, come back to this game and, 100% it. So I think what we're going to do for now is we'll just leave this here, and there will be more of this. And thank you so much for this being a thing you're into and, that you want to see more of.